Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant, and welcome to Akulmach. Today is Monday, and we want to discuss something very, very interesting. To discuss this further and without spilling the beans, let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Neville Gun.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. The vaccine is here on the tip of everyone's tongues in the UK and certainly in the majority of the world here is the saviour. Here is the route to our freedom, to unlocking our lockdown arena, to going into a shop without wearing a mask. Isn't it a wonderful occasion where we currently are?
Certainly, it is. And as you can see in India, at least, the summers are here. The temperature is now moving towards the hotter side. And as you can see, my layers are gone. I'm just wearing a half shirt. So, and when we talk about that, I think virus will also have a gala time here. So it's going to multiply because the weather is very conducive for virus to multiply. And we heard yesterday that the Brazilian variant has also been found in India, for which there is no protection by the current vaccine. So I think I'm eagerly waiting for the vaccination drive to include my category of people.
And I think the vast majority of people are. However, let's just think of the question that everyone's thinking of, and they daren't answer. They daren't answer because it's affecting our civil liberties. It's our right to have freedom. It's a question, actually, that's on the tip of everybody's tongues. And the question we've got to ask is, what is freedom? So if my freedom, I'm in the UK, I'm in London, I have actually had the vaccine already. I'm one of those unfortunate people with other symptoms. So at 62-year-old, I've had the vaccine over 2 weeks ago now. But my freedom is dependent upon everybody having the vaccine, not 50, 60, 70%. Because if the virus is still out there, and remember, it's not just one virus, it's mutated. There are now the UK virus, as we've been told, that was found in Kent. Then there's the Brazilian virus, which apparently is pretty immune to the current vaccines. The efficacy of the current vaccines is very small, but again, it's not really been tested. And we've also got this South African variant. I'm sure more and more variants will come because viruses are very smart. They're the smartest entrepreneur on the planet. If they can't affect you one way, they'll morph into another arena and they'll affect you another way. So even though we've got vaccines that are going to protect us against some of the current COVID arena, let's say COVID-19, because we don't know what the other ones are called yet, or certainly I don't, why isn't it mandatory now to have the vaccine?
Well, it should be mandatory, Neville. And as you rightly pointed out, that virus mutate. It is as part of its nature, and there is no medicine in this world, even nuclear blast, cannot kill a virus. So you can't really kill a virus. You can only, sort of vaccinate yourself to protect it from its effect. So the general purpose thinking is that if I take the tablet, I will kill the viruses in my body. That is a myth. You cannot kill a virus. It will just go away, go outside the body because it is not now finding the conducive environment unless if it mutates inside your body. So as you said, South African variant, Brazilian variant, UK variant, I think in future we will also see a New Delhi variant, and there will be another city, Pakistan variant or maybe a Bangladesh variant. You never know because the mutation can take so many routes, and it is allowed in the nature. So virus will mutate into so many strains, and for that you cannot have a vaccination for every all of these different mutations which will happen. So I think the best thing to do is whatever we have, we should protect ourselves because in future what will happen we don't know. So at least in the present, protect ourselves by taking the vaccination. And I think I am with you, it should be made mandatory. uh, but there is a caveat here. The caveat is a legal system. In most of the countries, in your country as well as in my country, there is freedom of livelihood, freedom of speech, freedom of choice, and there is a free will which is given to the citizens of each respective countries. And as part of that, let's say the mercy killing also, it's the choice given to a person. If he wants to die, he can apply and he can get mercy, killing by mercy, because he is already suffering so much. So it is similar to that. If somebody doesn't want to go through a vaccination, the law permits a choice. While as an individual, I feel that it should be made mandatory. Like there are so many things mandatory already. For example, you need to pass certain exams to become eligible for the next session. It's mandatory. If you don't, cross school, you cannot get into college. If you fail in school, so there are already mandatory things available in our society. So why not vaccination? However, when it comes to vaccination, people will bring in that clause of the constitution, and they will say, hey, I have my choice, I don't want to be vaccinated. That is the way I see things going to happen.
It's not just see the way things are going to happen; it's way things are currently happening. And just like every other time that we get a rebellion against what the majority of people are saying, we get loud noises that are out there. Um, and the interesting thing for me is that when I go into a store, a shop, or a communal place that's indoors, at the moment, it's obligatory, mandatory to wear a mask. As you say, we do things mandatory anyway. And the simple things we do, like people need to ask themselves, why do you wear a seatbelt? In India and in the UK, why do you drive on the left hand side of the road? And the majority of people out there that are listening here say, well, it's the law. Ah, there you go. It's the law. It's mandatory. Why is that law there? It's there to protect you and protect other people. So it's pretty smart actually to drive on the left hand side of the road, because if you start to drive on the right hand side of the road, you're going to have one almighty crash. You're only going to get 100 yards. So it's reasonable actually to be mandatory. And I just think that this arena, this is my personal opinion. I don't want to force my opinion on anybody, but I just like to get people to think. If other people's safety depends upon your actions, what are you going to do about it? And that's the question everyone needs to be asking themselves. So when I wear a mask in a shop, it's already been said by the World Health Authority. It's not for my protection, actually, it's for someone else's, because it's protecting them against my coughs and sneezes. And I will do that because not only is it mandatory, but because it's the right thing to do. And I know that people have got certain religious issues around all of this. I don't want to go down the faction of, it's going to change my DNA. It's going to make my brain fry. I mean, this thing will make your brain fry, more than a vaccine will make your brain fry. It's not going to change your DNA. They've proven it time and time and time again. It protects your immunity system. It improves your immunity system. And as you quite rightly said, CK, the virus will not go away. It's there, it will mutate, it will be around forever. And this is the issue that we've got about the zombie virus. There is a zombie virus. The COVID-19 virus was allegedly the first start of a zombie virus, but there are more out there that we need to protect ourselves against. So it's a real interesting question. It's one we all need to grapple with. Don't go down the conspiracy theories, everybody. Think of it for yourself. Your position in humanity. What are you doing for you and your family and the protection of other people? But ultimately, let's look at a 1984 George Orwell's view of what would happen if this virus had hit the cities of 1984, what do you think George Orwell's book would have said about viruses and vaccines?
Well, instead of answering this question, let me give
You're a
another.
politician, CK.
No, but at least
Answer the
I'm
difficult question. I can tell you what the answer would be. It would
okay.
be queue up for this one or queue up effectively for the gas chamber, because there's your options. I mean, that's what George Orwell's vision of 1984 would have been. It would have been basically take your medicine or be exiled. You know, go to the leper colony. You are a leper. You will not be allowed within community. But anyway, you answer the question you want to ask.
Well, I'm in the favor of this whole argument of what we are discussing. When a child is born, usually, in fact, not usually, it's all the time, 100%. A chart is prepared at the time of the birth of the child, and the chart is up to 12 years of the child's age. So initially, up to first 18 months to 2 years, there are vaccinations every month, and there is a repeat visit to the hospital or pediatric department where you have to go and give polio, you have to vaccinate against typhoid, measles, and there are boosters for hepatitis, and so on and so forth. And up to the 12 years, the last shot is given at the age of 12. So there is no question about it. All parents will follow like a robot. If the child is born, there is a date given, there is a graph given in the child's file, and you need to follow those dates. And everybody, 100% of the population living on the at least in certain countries where there are process, they follow this process. Now somebody will say, hey, my child is born, it's a god gift. My child doesn't need all these measles vaccination, doesn't need hepatitis, because I have a law of freedom in my constitution. So who's going to be blamed? I mean, that individual and his child will suffer, right? So it's something like that. If somebody says, hey, I don't want to go ahead with the Pfizer vaccination, let's say, against corona, well, 99% of the population of the world will, and this guy will be left out, as you said, gas chamber. They will perish because the virus will eventually get you, because the virus will, if it is not affecting you today, it will affect you tomorrow, because it will continue to mutate. If you don't have vaccination, the virus is going to get you, and all others are safe because they have vaccinated themselves. So let's go back to 500 years back, bubonic plague or black death. What happened? 66% of the world population died because they didn't have anything to protect themselves. And what remained today, we are the offsprings of those survivors. They had the genetic cure. So the people with proper genes on whom the bubonic plague does not affect survived. All 66% men, animals died. We all know that. I think we should go back, and it is just 500 years back. It's our history. So in today's world, we are much more advanced. We can develop cure. So take it. There is no question of pulling that clause in the constitution. Hey, I have a free will. There is no free will. Just go and take the medicine. That's it. It's free.
It's a very persuasive argument what you're saying there. And the interesting thing is, and this isn't a funny issue at all, the bubonic plague was a fact. If medical science had been as profound as it is today, those people wouldn't have died, because people would have said, no, give me the vaccine, give me something that's going to protect me against this. And we've got the history books tell us what's happened. We've got no video footage of the time for obvious reasons. We've only got interpretation, director's interpretation, and artist's interpretation of what went on. But now let's project it a little further. Let's project it to Mars. You and I have been talking about the Mars explorer recently, aptly named Perseverance, because the Mars Perseverance Explorer is probably very akin to what an entrepreneur would be today in in the global arena. It's testing, it's probing, it's finding, it's researching, it's looking for signs of effectively life. Was there life on Mars? Great book, by the way, if anyone wants to do it. I'm sure I'm sure there'll be thousands of those books flying around soon. But let's just project this forward 50 years. And you and I are getting on the shuttle. We're very old at that time, quite frail, because we've taken this new elixir of life vaccine, which gives us another 200 years life. Okay. So we've just projected into science fiction. But you and I are about to get on that spaceship going to Mars. Do you think that the passport will say, have you had this vaccine? Have you had that vaccine? Have you had this one? Have you had that one? Have you suffered from this? Do you suffer? We're going to be filling out a questionnaire. And the thing is, we won't be filling out a questionnaire because all of the medical records will be there to say this person wouldn't have even got on the flight without having all of these things. And there's no doppelganger here. There's no, you can't send a robot in to have all your jabs or an avatar. It will be proven that that is you. And in fact, they'll probably take a blood sample to prove that you've got all of these antibodies inside you anyway, because they can't afford a risk on Mars of a foreigner coming in and infecting the whole community. And that's where we are today in reality. I know it sounds a little bit science fiction, but that's the reality of today. And those won't be won't be out of a freedom arena. This will be of necessity. So I think the vaccine is of necessity. It's really, yes, it is questioning our freedoms, but actually there are so many things that we don't have freedoms for that we believe we perhaps do. So it's a fascinating arena to talk about today. I think people should really look at their conscience about this, and if they're turning down the vaccine, have a damn good reason why, because it's actually protecting your fellow man or woman, as they say, but in essence, it's all about mankind and womankind. Fascinating subject today, CK.
I think the message is very loud and clear. Just go and get the vaccine. It's simple.
Well, it's simple to you and me. We're not putting pressure on anybody here. We're just asking people to think, and think about your position in wherever you are. But whatever your decision is, it's the right one. So good luck with that. I just hope that governments down the line will have the balls, in some respect, of making sure that their job is being done. They're protecting their own communities, which means if they're protecting their own, they're protecting everybody else's. As we keep being told by the World Health Organization, the developed countries should be helping out the developing countries. So this is another issue that we're going to have to deal with in the not too distant future. I know that some leaders, including Boris Johnson, has said any spare vaccine will be sent to developing countries free of charge, part of the international requirement. So let's just hope that's going to happen.
That is happening. India is already doing that, and there are certain voices within India which are objecting to it. But I think that is a matter for a different debate. So thank you so much for your time, Naval, today for discussing this very, very important global issue which is affecting everyone. And I hopefully people will do the right thing, as you said. So thank you so much, Naval.
No, my pleasure. Enjoy your week, everybody.
Bye-bye.